Hey, Charles.
Hi, Pete. What you doing?
Oh, I just took a 200-point modal on a plexi plate using a Polytech laser.
Ooh, looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, and now I want to analyze it in Testlab. So I was going to go through the steps of bringing it over to Testlab.
I'd like to see how that's done.
Yeah. Well, first, in the Polytech PSV software, you want to go View, Project Browser. I think that's a good
Okay.
start. It shows you your project. And this is a little trick that I've learned. If you right click here on this component, we don't really want any component names when we bring it over to Testlab.
Okay.
So I'm going to right click, edit, going to delete that, hit OK, and it's gone. I didn't even leave a blank space there.
Got it. Completely blank.
Yep. Now I'm going to go to File, Export, Universal File, and I'll find a directory to put that data in. Guess I can come up with a name like 200-point modal.
Very descriptive.
Yeah. Hit save here. Oh, and then I got some export options. Now, when you first fire it up, it might be that all these things are on. And of course, that's going to make a pretty big file. But to do a modal, I really only need FRF data. This data, the vibration itself and the force spectrum itself, I don't really need for a modal. I could export it later if I want to.
Okay.
And then for the FRFs, which are under this Vibe and Ref 1 section, I really only need acceleration over force. I don't need it in velocity over force, displacement over force, and I don't need H2 and H1 FRFs. I think H1 would be enough. That's the estimator used to calculate the FRF. And then I think I want the coherence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm saving myself 6 times the data. And then display objects, I want to turn that on. That's the geometry. And then over here, I think it's good to export in binary format. Normally, universal files, if you don't say binary, they're ASCII. They can be very large, but binary is very compact.
I like that. And that's good because TestLab can read both binary and ASCII
Yeah.
universal files.
And now I'm going to hit OK. That was pretty quick, huh?
Yeah.
And now I'm going to fire up Testlab. And I've fired up Simcenter Testlab Neo here. And I'm in an
hmm
empty project.
Okay.
That directory that I put the data in is showing here. I'm going to hit refresh. And there's my universal file. And if
Do I need
I,
any add-ins turned on here?
yeah, potentially it is useful to have some add-ins, Charles. If I go to File here, Add-ins, I would recommend geometry creation. We'll need that to pull in the geometry from the universal file. And then to do the
Okay.
modal curve fitting, we're going to want modal analysis. And we probably want Polymax and maybe MLMM.
All the favorites.
Yep. So here, I'm going to highlight that universal file. And here's all the measurements that were in there. I got coherences that I exported. I got FRFs as well. And I want to copy them into my project. I'm going to do that by going to the end of the list, highlight here, then I'll go to the very beginning of my list, and I'm holding down the Shift key,
Okay.
highlighting the top one. It won't show me all the measurements, just a few of them. And I'm going to hit copy, go up to my project, create a folder, maybe call it FRF here, and then I'm going to paste all the FRFs into this folder. So now they're being copied from the universal file into my project. Make sense so
All right.
far?
Yeah. Looks like we're ready to start our modal.
Well, almost. I think we still need to grab the geometry from the universal file.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, here it is in the universal file, but I'm going to go to the geometry tab, which appeared after I added the geometry creation add-in. And then I'm going to go to the Import tab, and I can go to that directory that had my data in it there, Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll highlight the geometry.
Okay.
And then there's an import button in the home ribbon. And when I hit this import, I have the geometry highlighted. It's going to copy this geometry into my project.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty simple.
There I had the names already on. I can also turn them off. You just right click nodes, names like this. You can zoom in to see the stuff. And again, I can, if I want to see the names, I can see them. So there's a bunch of point numbers. So now I think I am ready to do my modal because I got my geometry, Charles, and I got my FRFs.
All right, let's go to the next step.
Yep. I'm going to go to modal here. And I'm going to put my FRFs in the input basket. I'll go to the modal dashboard, and it found all those FRFs. I'm going to set up a band to analyze the modes over here,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll hit run. And the way that Simcenter Testlab Neo works, it automatically identifies the modes for me. It calculated a MAC. Typically, for the modes, we want to know that each mode shape is unique. Looks like with 200 points, we did a pretty good job of doing that. I can step through the modes here. Those beautiful mode shapes from our laser vibrometer.
Very nice.
Yeah. I can look at the synthesis of different points, see how well my calculated modes match my measured modes. I think it's looking pretty good. As I go up in frequency, the mode shapes become a little bit more complex there, Charles. But I like it, so I'm going to hit accept. And that's all there is to it.
Thanks, Pete. Looks pretty simple.